Cost and value are very different things. So it begs the question then, what is the value of a pocket LED light that costs under $30? What can you do with it, and who is it for? If you're wondering this yourself, then this video is for you. Hi friends, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Jorge. On this channel we talk about photography and filmmaking, merging creativity and productivity to live a fulfilling life. And in today's video we're talking about these guys right here, the Weeylite S03 RGB pocket LED light. Weeylite or Weeylite is a partner company of Viltrox. They sent me 4 of these lights for testing and reviewing, but they are not sponsoring this video, they're not paying me for a review. And just like my camera reviews, I'll mention what I think is right. There are many brands and versions and options of pocket LED lights out there, but I think the main reasons why I decided to give these lights a chance was number 1, the price, but number 2, the book Atomic Habits. I have talked about this book before and the power of 1% improvements over time, but more on that later. This time I want to start with my conclusion, and if you want to see how I got there and you want to know more, then you can watch the rest of the video. The Weeylite S03 Pocket RGB light is useful, a compact and fun way to improve your photography or videography setup. Great for people on a budget that don't really mind the very cheap build quality and the glitchy app. People that just want to get started or want to improve their setup little by little without breaking the bank. It's not perfect, it has some drawbacks, but for that specific persona that I'm referring to, this is enough. I do recommend it, the same way that I recommend a 10-year-old camera. Not because the light itself is perfect or incredible or the best, it isn't, but because at this price range it will remove friction and barriers to get you up and running, growing, learning, and improving your skills, which is the thing that really matters. So that's the conclusion, but if you do want to know more, keep watching. Timestamps will be linked down below in case you'd like to skip, but for now, let's get started. These lights come packaged in a tiny box. When you open one of these up, you'll find the light, of course, a 1/4 20-inch cold shoe adapter, a USB-C to USB-A cable for charging the light, and some light paperwork or documentation. Let's talk about the light itself. It's fairly small, about the same size of a credit card. The small size is very convenient and it makes it very lightweight as well, since the light weighs only 72 grams. Now, depending on how you see it, this could be a positive thing. Less weight to carry with you on your camera bag, etc. However, in this case, it is very lightweight because it's made out of very cheap plastic. So, durability is a valid concern. Keep that in mind. It has only one button, the power button, and that's it. It does have a USB-C port, and that's how you recharge the battery, but there is no battery indicator with a percentage or a specific amount. There is an archaic way of gauge how much battery you have left according to the manual, but this is terrible in my opinion. Also, the app itself does not show how much battery you have left, so keep that in mind. It does have a charging and a power on indicator, however, it's barely noticeable. It varies in brightness from unit to unit. This is the power on indicator for the 4 lights, and this is the charging indicator for the 4 lights. Last but not least, there is a QR code on the front sticker. Scan that QR code with your smartphone to download the app. You'll need it to control the light. More on that later. This is a 4-watt RGB pocket LED light. The color temperature ranges from 2800 Kelvin to 6800 Kelvin. The maximum luminance goes up to 350 lux at 0.5 meters, which I don't think is bright enough. More on that later. The color rendering index or CRI listed on their website is RA of 95 and TLCI of 97. I don't have a proper light meter to test the maximum luminance and the CRI, which includes the TLCI and the TLMF. However, when putting this pocket LED light right next to my main key light, the Godox SL150 Mark II, at the same color temperature, it looks a little bit different, a little off. So please, take their CRI values and claims from their website with a grain of salt, unless you have a proper light meter and you can test this yourself. It has a 1000 milliamp battery, and the website says it runs for 60 minutes at full power, but in my test, it ran for about an hour and a half at full brightness before it died. So that's great. It's important to talk about the app. because this is the only real way to control the light. So if the app crashes, resets, or sucks, well, that will significantly impact your experience. The way you control these lights is by grouping them. You can do 6 groups and 19 channels per group, which is the only effective way to control multiple lights. Now, there are several modes and presets. First is the CCT mode. This mode has presets that control the range from 3000 Kelvin all the way to 7000 Kelvin. You can also adjust the tint and the level of brightness, and this is probably the most effective way to try to match it to other lights in your scene, like your key light for example. Next is the HSL slider. Similar to what you find in programs like Photoshop for example. You can drag it around until you find a particular color that you want, and at the bottom you can control the saturation and the brightness. Next is a red, green, blue, white, yellow slider and the XY coordinate slider. It's very similar to what the HSL slider does, with a bit more fine control. Next is the color chip mode. These are presets trying to emulate the Roscoe and the Lee color filters. You can cycle through these, but you can't really change them or edit them. Next are the effects categories. This is where you can start to see some of the issues with the light. Some of these effects only work when the light is at 40% brightness or higher, like this wave magenta for example. Here's what it looked like at 1%, it's choppy and it cannot fade in or fade out, and here's what it looked like at over 40% brightness. And this applies to almost every effect. In fact, if you go back to the color chip, the color accuracy and saturation significantly drop when you lower the brightness, looking very different from what it's supposed to be. I'm pretty sure this is a hardware limitation, not a software issue. And last but not least, you have the color picker. It's okay in my opinion. It works most of the time, but the colors are never accurate. So the app experience is okay at best. And remember that this is the only real way to control the light. Sections of the app have not been properly translated to English, like here and here. The color picker works about 70% of the time. The other 30%, it makes the app crash or it does not enable the camera at all. Last but not least, we have to talk about the light settings and preferences and changes. Whatever changes you made to the light in color, temperature, or brightness only kick in when you use the app. The lights have no sort of memory whatsoever. Let me show you what I mean. Here's the light with the app. We have a specific filter and brightness selected. If you turn the light off, you close the app, and you turn the light back on again, it will not remember any of the changes. You have to sync it with the app again, and then the save changes will kick in. Let's get this out of the way. These are not made to be used as a main key light or your main source of light for a scene like this. I'm sure most people will say that you can, but that completely defeats the purpose of a pocket RGB light. These should be used mainly as accent lights for a set, portable lights that can be placed anywhere you want, or be used to shoot video thumbnails, product photography, or macro photography. These are not really made to be far away from your subject, to be diffused, to be finessed like that. To demonstrate this point, I'll be using a diffuser that comes in a standard 5-in-1 reflector kit, and a couple of these lights as well. Turning one of these lights on looks bright enough perhaps. The camera is fairly close to it, but the second we diffuse the light, we lose close to 50% of luminance or exposure, and we can compensate by adding 2, 3, perhaps even 4 lights just to get a source of light bright enough that can still light your scene while being diffused. Therefore, the second you try to apply cinematography principles to these lights, they quickly fall apart. And that's the thing we should be focusing on, how to get better at lighting, how to get better at cinematography. That's the thing that really, really matters. These pocket RGB lights are for people that want to improve their existing setup, add color and spice to their set, and in that regard, these succeed. They're pretty good. This is where the book Atomic Habits come in. In his book, James Clear writes, "Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement." This is the notion that you don't really have to make any drastic changes, but rather very tiny changes that compound over time and make you 1% better every time you take a photograph, every time you make a video, every single day. In this case, it applies more to our lighting, to our sets, to our production values, to how we light our videos. These lights are not for people that don't already have any sort of lighting and just want to buy one and try to get by with one. It's going to look terrible, the same as pointing a flashlight at your face. The second you start diffusing light and softening your shadows, your exposure drops significantly. So by then you probably maybe try to compensate it by 1 more, 2 more, 3, maybe you have 4 in total. By then you spend over $100 doing that. There are better ways to light your office, your setup, your scene. There are more things I could focus on, more things I could nitpick, but for what it is and for what it cost, the Weeylite RGB Pocket LED light offers enough value for me to be able to recommend it to people out there. It's good enough. As always, I'm curious to know, what do you think? Do you have any Pocket RGB lights? What would be your use cases for lights like this? Share your thoughts in a comment down below. But that is it for today's video. Once again, thank you to Weeylite for sending me these lights for a review. They did not pay for a review, this is not a sponsored video. If you found this video helpful or valuable, please like and subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and join my free newsletter as well. Thank you very much for watching, for giving me your time and your energy, and good luck with your creative process.